as you remember, when we lived on Chippewa before we moved in here for our personal use, not for the shul, not for the Chabad house, but for our family, by our house, we used to put up every sukkahs a sukkah made out of frame and canvas. These are very easy to put up and very easy to store. They take up very little space. And people used to ask, I used to be a big promoter of these sukkahs because they're just easy for use. And many people in the community here bought them because of this recommendation. And people used to ask me, how long does it take for you to put up the sukkah? And I would always answer, if my children help me, it's 2 hours. If they don't, it's 1. And every single year, me and my kids had a project. We would slot a time where we would together put up the sukkah. Now, this was both for my kids who were much younger and for when my kids were already older. It was a family project, and they would literally fight over who is going to carry which pole and who is going to be holding it and who is going to be putting it and who is going to do which job. And it was very exciting. And then who is going to be, everybody knew that the main thing of a sukkah is chach, the branches or the bamboos, the sticks that go on top, and they were all fighting who is going to climb up there to put it on, because that's the most exciting part, because first of all, they all know that the main part of sukkah is this chach, but also it's the fun of climbing up. And then you get to also throw things from up on top on everybody who is down below you. It's extra fun. And that's how we spent our Erev Sukkos. And then when we had to take the sukkah apart, this was always the hardest job to get them to help you out as well, right? Because to put things up is very exciting. To take it back down, it's already, okay. Okay, fine, I'll do you a favor, I'll stick around for 20 minutes, carry a couple things. But really, as you know, I was not the only in the Jewish community who was building a sukkah with his children. It's a pretty usual activity. Families do it together. It's exciting. Why? Now, if it takes me double the amount of time to put up a sukkah with my kids, why do I do it? It's a busy time. Tishrei is the busiest Jewish holiday. Besides for the fact that we have all the holidays, and there's very few days between them, especially if there's a Shabbat falling out in between. And then you have to prepare for the holidays. Then there is the usual workload which you are trying to keep up. And with us, with our community, we have all the projects, all the events. We have, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. We have Sukkot party. We have Yom Tov. We have guests. We have too many things going on at once. You barely get to sleep. And with all this, I take up extra time to put up a sukkah with my kids. Wouldn't it be easier if I'll just say, guys, you stay home, I'll do it? So why am I doing it? Am I crazy? Well, the answer is yes, I am. But not for that. We are doing it this way purposely. Because first of all, this is a teaching moment. Children get preoccupied with a mitzvah. Children get a experience of participation in a mitzvah. It's exciting for children. They're happy to do a mitzvah. There are some mitzvahs that we do begrudgingly. I haven't met a person yet who loves fasting on Yom Kippur. Yay, Yom Kippur is coming. I finally got to get to not eat for 25 hours. I haven't met a person like this yet. If you know something like this, let me know. Whenever, very often, people tell me, Rabbi, what am I supposed to do? I don't like doing some mitzvahs. And I tell people, so do I. People are shocked. I'm like, you know what? I never sat on Yom Kippur, like right before the end of Yom Kippur, like during the break before Nehila, and I'm like, ooh, I feel so hungry, and I love it. Thank you, God, for giving us mitzvah of fasting. I never had such experience. So we are all experiencing some mitzvahs that we do just because we know we have to, and then some mitzvahs are exciting. For children, building a sukkah, it's an exciting mitzvah. So first of all, they get a chance to experience participation in the mitzvah. Second of all, it's an exciting mitzvah. And third of all, I'll tell you, do you know what happens when you are busy with something and your children are unattended, left to their own devices for an hour or two, and you don't hear from them a thing? Those of you who have kids know exactly what I'm talking about.
The longer
when you will find out what they were busy with, it's going to be already too late. Okay? So it keeps them out of trouble. So what are the values? The values are, they are having a teaching moment. They're involved in something positive and keeps them out of trouble. And that's why you are partnering with them, even though it costs you extra money and extra effort. And you could have done it yourself much better and faster. But you choose not to, for this very reason. And anybody here who has kids, or who remembers his childhood, or who saw his friends, neighbors involved with their kids, I'm sure can tell about exactly the same experience, maybe with a different instance or whatever it is. So, this is what parents do. Parents are trying to teach children through these what's called teachable moments. So, l'chaim for all the parents. L'chaim. And now, thank you. And now, I will tell you one of the most fascinating stories about the Rebbe that describe the Rebbe's general approach to everything what he has been doing. This is the story. In London lived a businessman who was known as Max Catch, or his Hebrew name was Menachem Mendel Catch. His name was spelled Catch, K-A-S-C-H, Catch. But he would always introduce himself as the greatest catch, like C-A-C-A-C-A-T-C-H, right? So he would always
Scotch.
no, not Scotch, Catch. So Max Catch was a wealthy businessman who was involved in Jewish life, and he was actually he had an extensive relationship with Rabbi Zalman Jaffe. For those of you who have read stories about the Rebbe, Zalman Jaffe is one of the people who had a personal connection with the Rebbe. When I say personal connection with the Rebbe, I mean that the Rebbe related to him in many ways, like somebody very close to the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin, both. And I'll I'll go on a tantrum. Zalman Jaffe, part of the reason why he had such a close relationship with Rebbe, because he was a very open person, and even though he was British to the core, he was not always following a proper etiquette when it comes to the Rebbe. When Zalman Jaffe came to the Rebbe for the first time, he was coached by Rabbi Belinsky Shem Tov. And Rabbi Belinsky Shem Tov told him that part of the etiquette when you come to the Rebbe, you don't shake the Rebbe's hand. Why? Because when you shake hand, it's like you're shaking hand with somebody equal to you, you know. But the Rebbe is somebody who is not kind of your peer. That's why just don't stick out your hand to shake the Rebbe's hand. That's what Rabbi Shem Tov told to Zalman Jaffe. And Zalman Jaffe said, okay. And he comes into the Rebbe's office. And the Rebbe says hello to him and sticks out his hand. So Zalman Jaffe, being Zalman Jaffe, says, Rabbi Shem Tov told me not to shake your hand. So the Rebbe tells him, don't worry, we won't tell Rabbi Shem Tov. So this was the kind of person that Rabbi Zalman Jaffe was, and he brought. It's fine, thank you. And he brought Max Katch to the Rebbe many times. So one of the times when Max Katch was by the Rebbe started talking to him about business. Max Katch, living in London, was a big fur salesman, wholesale. He was working with furs, and he was a big maven, what's called English maven. You know what maven in English means? Like market maven. Maven means big. He understood. He was an expert in fur, and he was selling fur all over the world. And the Rebbe started talking to him about fur. And thank you. The Rebbe started talking about fur, and then the Rebbe asked him, "Would you want to be my partner in this business? Let's become partners in this business, in the fur business." Now, if somebody gets an offer from the Rebbe to be a partner with him in his business, you have to be a real idiot to turn it down. Max Katch says, "Sure, what does it take?" Max Katch said, the Rebbe said, it's going to cost you some money, you have to give a certain amount of dollars to the nation. The Rebbe said, no. The Rebbe didn't even ask for any financial contribution. The Rebbe said, we're going to be partners. That means that when we go into any deal, into any transaction, it has to be with a consent of both of us. None of us can do things individually without another person, and we have to coordinate all of our moves. He said, "I'm in. That's all it takes." I said, "Yeah, we're going to be partners, and we do things together." He says, "Yeah, I'm in." So Rabbi tells him, "I think that we should buy this and this fur." And the Rebbe says a specific type of fur. And the Rebbe says quite an extensive amount of this fur should be bought. He understands in furs very well, Max Katch does. And he thinks the fur that the Rebbe is referring to, the fur that the Rebbe is referring to, is quite cheap fur. He says, usually he doesn't deal with such a mid-level products. He specializes in high-end furs, but the Rebbe says, why not? It doesn't hurt. You need to diversify your investments. So it doesn't hurt to buy this. But the Rebbe told him to buy quite an extensive amount. He says, okay, why not? He says, sure. He goes, as soon as he returns to London, he buys this fur, the Rebbe said. He knows exactly where to buy it. He has the connections. He has the place to store it, because when you have money sitting in your house, cash, they don't require any upkeep. They require protection from thieves, but they don't require any upkeep. Fur requires a lot of upkeep. It has to be stored in a specific place with in very specific conditions, and it costs money to store this fur. So he puts it in his warehouse. He had a warehouse for this. He stores it. And then, as the time goes by, he writes to the Rebbe, says, okay, I bought the fur. He thought the Rebbe would tell him to buy it somewhere. What do you buy after? What do you do after you buy, if you're a wholesaler? You buy it somewhere, and then you find a place to sell it to. So Max Catch thinks that the Rebbe is going to tell him now to sell it somewhere. But the Rebbe is not telling him anything. So he calls from London to the States. This was 1972, 1973. It wasn't, the communication between different continents wasn't so easy. So he calls, and he asks, I'm asking for the Rebbe's next move. The Rebbe's secretary says, okay, I'll get back to you. And then the Rebbe's secretary says, I asked the Rebbe didn't respond. Did the Rebbe forget that we are partners? What do you mean the Rebbe didn't respond? What's going on over here? Time goes by, and he starts getting nervous. Why? Because he monitors price of fur all the time. And price of fur goes up and down. It depends on the fashion, on the season, on many different things. And he starts noticing that the price of this fur that he bought is declining. Like, oh boy, now I won't be able to get rid of it. He phones the Rebbe's office again, and he says, okay, the price is declining, and I, as an expert, I know we agreed not to do anything without the other person's consent, but I, as an expert, see that we need to sell it right now. So please tell the Rebbe, he tells to the secretary, that we need to sell this fur immediately, because otherwise we're going to lose even more money. Now we're going to lose a little bit. If we will wait, we're going to lose even more money. The secretary gets back on the phone, and the secretary says, the Rebbe told you to buy as much more of this fur now, and since the price went down, it's going to be even easier for you to do that. He's in total panic. He says, what do you mean? But, he knows that you need to listen to the Rebbe, and he, not without hesitations, but he does it. He buys. And then, he is waiting for more instructions, and the instructions are not coming. Happened to be that he had an opportunity to fly to New York, and he decided he's going to fly to New York. He's going to explain to the Rebbe what's going on in the fur market, and he will explain to him that he cannot wait any further. And he will be telling the Rebbe that we need to sell it. He comes to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe is listening to everything what he has to say. And after the Rebbe hears him out, the Rebbe says, oh, so are you telling me that the price went even more down than last time you bought it? He says yes. He says, great. We need to buy more. He is totally devastated. But the Rebbe told him to do it, and he looked really shaken. And the Rebbe tells him, "Do you remember we became partners?" Says, "And do you remember what the agreement was? Right? You cannot sell it. You cannot do anything without my permission," says the Rebbe. "We are partners." He doesn't know what to do. So he says, "You know what? I guess I don't have a choice." So he goes and he buys more. And I have to tell you something. Do you know what the problem is? Like I told you, storing fur requires special warehouses. The problem was that the Rebbe told him already to buy so many different things, that so many of this fur, that his warehouse, the warehouse that he had access to, were already all taken up. He has to go and rent other warehouses. Now, he knows where to get the space. It's not a problem. Problem is it costs money. He's calling his other friends. He says, "I need more space to store fur." And he's even embarrassed to tell them what kind of fur he's storing now. He doesn't even know how to explain to his friends that I don't know why. He's not going to tell them I'm listening to some rabbi in Brooklyn who never dealt with fur, and he's telling me to buy fur and store it. It's a crazy thing. He's embarrassed to tell them what he wants this storage space for. So he's, "I need a warehouse. Could you please help me?" He rents more storage space, and he buys more, and he really doesn't know what's going on, and the price starts dropping down even more. He is in total panic. He phones the Rebbe again, and the Rebbe's secretary says, "I passed the message along to the Rebbe." And there was no response. He doesn't know what to do. He calls again. The secretary says, listen, I already went to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe didn't give any response. If the Rebbe feels it's necessary, he's going to give a response. The secretary says, I'm not going to bother the Rebbe every other day with the same question over and over again. You know, to be a nuge is very fashionable in the Jewish world, but there's also a limit to how much you could be a nuge, you know. And the secretary just says, sorry, I understand. He says, do you know how much money is at stake? Do you know I invested crazy amounts of money into this fur, and I'm going to lose all of it, and it's all my money, by the way. The Rebbe didn't invest any of it. The Rebbe didn't put a penny. The Rebbe just tells me what to do. Well, he goes crazy. The secretary says, listen, I can only tell you what the Rebbe said. If you feel something else is necessary for you to do, I can only tell you what the Rebbe tells you to do. If you want to not listen to the Rebbe, you could do whatever you want, but I'm not responsible, says the secretary. He didn't know what to do. He couldn't sleep at night. He calls Zalman Jaffe, who we mentioned before, and he tells this whole story, and he asks Zalman Jaffe to call the Rebbe. Zalman Jaffe says, no, 1 second. I bothered the Rebbe for a lot of things, but if you already asked the Rebbe didn't answer, I'm not going to call him. I'm not going to call him. Don't. He calls Rabbi Shem Tov, who I mentioned before. And Rabbi Shem Tov tells him the same thing. He says, listen, you can do whatever you want, but I'm not calling the Rebbe on your behalf for the things that were already asked and never answered. He doesn't know what to do. He's sitting, he's waiting. And then he gets finally a call from the Rebbe's secretary. The Rebbe said that he has a message for you. What's the message? The price of this fur, the Rebbe said, just went even lower, and the Rebbe wants you to buy even more of this fur. He's really lost at this point. He's putting all of his money into this fur now. He has a whole other business going on. He says, listen, I'm having my regular business to support this Rebbe's preoccupation with this cheap fur. He says, I cannot do that. But the Rebbe said, he does it. With a very, very heavy heart. He doesn't know what to do. He's already afraid to call the Rebbe again. Because he's afraid he's going to call the Rebbe again. The Rebbe is going to tell him to buy more fur. Okay? So then, what happens? Suddenly, one of the fashion icons in Paris decides to come to a fashion show wearing a winter dress out of this fur. The moment this famous fashion icon in Paris does it, suddenly every person who is involved in clothing industry is looking for this fur. There's only one problem. Max Catch is now owning most of this fur that exists in Europe. The price of this fur skyrockets. Max Catch is all excited. He says, Rebbe, the price is now double of it was a month ago. It's even slightly higher than it was when I bought it. We could make our money back and we'll even make some profit, something at least. I'll make some money back. And you know what happens? The Rebbe is not even responding. He is really nervous. He doesn't know what to do. Do you know what happens next month? The price goes up even higher. And he's all excited. He's like, Rebbe, let's sell. After he called the Rebbe third time, the Rebbe's secretary said, yeah. The Rebbe said, you can sell now. He's so relieved. He goes, he sells this fur, and you know what? He makes a lot of money. I don't know, the record does not hold how much money he made of it. It's just known that as a token of appreciation, he came to the Rebbe afterwards. And he said, Rebbe, thank you very much. Our partnership really paid off. And I want to thank you for your guidance. I myself could have not predicted it even in my wildest imagination, even though I'm an expert in fur. And I want to thank you for it. And he brought a check to the Rebbe for $1 million. This was 1973. Wow. $1 million, 1973. You can imagine how much money it was. Okay? And this was just his token of appreciation to the Rebbe. And then he says, Rebbe, I'm very happy that you chose me as your partner in our previous endeavor. I'm very thankful to you. And I really hope that we can be partners in our next ventures. And the Rebbe looks at him and says, in Yiddish, "Entschuldigt." In Yiddish, "Entschuldigt" means I'm sorry. Du bist a schwache Shutaf. You are a weak partner. And he never ended up being in partnership with the Rebbe in any other business deals. Let's make a l'chaim, and then we're going to talk about this story. L'chaim.
He's going to tell us the morale of the story.
Did Rebbe have connections to this, like a fashion person and friends?
Take a wild guess.
had that
I'll give you multiple choice of 3 answers.
Rabbi with fashion industry?
The Rebbe had nothing to do with fashion industry, I promise.
he had that book from
So here
Back to the Future.
is the moral of the story. This is the moral of the story. The moral of the story is that just like when I build a sukkah, I can do it faster and better myself. I can. None of my kids are here. I hope they won't be insulted when they'll find out. Schneer, don't tell it to anybody, okay? But me and Schneer made a deal. But the sad truth is, I could have built my sukkah without them much more efficiently. I chose to be partners with my children when I was building it. Why? For the reasons I told you. It keeps them out of trouble, makes them busy with positive things, gives them a positive experience. You know what? I've got news for you. When God was originally creating this world, He could have made it much better and quicker without us. God, I heard, He's pretty smart, and He's pretty good at what He's doing. So then, the question is, if God is so good, and if God is so smart, why is this world so crooked? If God is perfect, why is this world so imperfect? Why is there so much evil in this world? So what is the answer? There's a saying in Russian, "Pol работы дураку не показывают." You don't show an unfinished product to an idiot. Okay. Why? Because if I am a computer programmer and somebody ordered I should write a program for him, and this program is only half done. It says, "What are you holding?" It's half done. "Show me what you have done." I'm going to show him a whole bunch of zeros and ones. Okay? What is he going to say? "What? Are you making fun of me? What is it?" It's half-done project. It's a whole bunch of zeros and ones. You're making fun of me. I'm not making fun of you. It's a half-done project. A computer expert will be able to understand what it is. If I'm building a house and somebody asks me, "What have you done so far?" I ordered all of the parts. "Show me what you have done." It's a pile of 2x4s and bricks. It's not a house. Well, yes, it's an unfinished project. God made this world, when He created this world during the 6 days of creation, half-made. You know, Duncan Hines. You know, Duncan Hines cakes, right? Mm-hmm. You know, originally when Duncan Hines cakes were made, all you had to do, just add water and put it to bake. And then they changed their recipe. They changed it. They said, when we make this prefab, we are not going to put eggs in the mix, in the powder. We're going to not put eggs, and we're going to tell in the instruction you need to add an egg. Why? Because their research showed that when a person would take this powder, just add water and put it to bake, it didn't make him feel that he was contributing enough. So their sales were boosted when they told people to add an egg, because it made people more involved. people were bigger partners in what's going on. So people felt better about themselves. Oh, I baked it. Because I took a powder, I added an egg, and then so it was already. I was somewhat creative.
You could put 2 eggs.
I could put. That's right. You could put 2 eggs. You could put a half an egg. Right. You could put only white. You could put white and yellow. You know, the yolk. You know what I mean?
Brown one.
Right. There. That's right. You could put an organic egg. It's already giving you some variations. So this world is a Duncan Hines powder, and this is how God made it. And God sold us this Duncan Hines powder and gave us instructions. When God made this world during 6 days of creation, he said this is an unfinished product. And you guys have to finish it, which means he made us partners. God made us partners. Whenever I have a chance to do a mitzvah, I'm becoming a partner with God. Every mitzvah I do, I'm contributing. I'm adding a little bit more egg, a little bit more water, a little bit more heat. You know, I'm doing something. So now, here is the question. Why is God doing it? God is doing it for the very reason why I build my sukkah with my kids. First of all, it keeps us out of trouble. Second of all, it gives us an opportunity to be involved in positive things. It gives us a learning experience. But here is the most important part. When my kids are sitting in a sukkah that they built, they feel that this is their sukkah. They feel ownership of it. Just like when a woman or a man is making the cake from Duncan Hines powder, why did they tell them to also add an egg? Because it makes it feel more as it's their cake. I made a cake. Just the very fact that I feel ownership of it makes me look at it very differently. It's my cake. When God told us that we need to make this world a better place by doing mitzvahs, God is allowing us to feel that this is our world. We are responsible for this world. We are a part of making this world what it's meant to be. In the Torah, there's an exception. There's an expression, namok sufa, a free bread. It says that when Jews were in Egypt, they were slaves, and part of their slavery system was government subsidized food. In other words, they had to work, and what if they couldn't work? They were out of work because they were sick. The slave drivers still had to feed them because they couldn't work. So they were still feeding them. And Jews realized, 1 second, my food is not really earned by me. It's true that they're making me work very hard, but really my food is not dependent on how much I make. I have nothing to do with how hard I work. My food that comes to me is independent of my work. So part of the mental anguish that Jews were experiencing, it was not only from the hard labor that they were doing, but also from the fact that the food that they are getting was actually not connected to the amount of work that they were doing. And if they were working harder, they weren't getting more food. And if they were working less, they also were not getting less food. It was called in Torah, nama ksufa, a free bread. And free bread, the Torah says, is embarrassing and you don't feel any connection to it. You know, the most famous statistics in America, that people here in America and probably all over the world, after they win a lottery of millions, billions, whatever it is, dollars, trillions, these lotteries have some astronomical numbers. they become poor within a few years, they become poorer than they were before they won this lottery. Why is it? Because if you earn the money, you feel a connection to it, and you use it wisely. You have a relationship with this money which you got. If you won a lottery, billions of dollars are just falling on me. I have no clue what to do with them. I don't feel it's my money. I start spending it, using it, whichever way I want. People don't know what to do with it. They become even poorer. So, God did not want this world to be namaksufa, a free bread for us. God wanted us to earn this bread. Just like when my kids are sitting in my sukkah, I want them to feel that this is their sukkah. They were part of building it. And my kids were very proudly showing off to all of our guests. I built this sukkah. I put this schach. I put this wall up. I was the one who did this. I was the one who did that. They proudly showed off that it's their sukkah. Why is it important for us? It's important for us to feel ownership of this world. It's very important for us to feel that this world the way it is because of us. You see, when all the anti-Semites tell you that Jews control everything, Jews control the media, Jews control the banks, Jews control every bank in the world, including West Bank. So Jews control everything. Jews control Hollywood. Jews control banks. Jews control weather. If it's bad weather, it's also Jews' fault. And Jews are. Now, I've got news for you. I wish we Jews would feel the same thing what anti-Semites feel. The famous joke about this Jew in Germany who is reading a Nazi newspaper and asking why you're reading a Nazi newspaper. He says, because whenever I read a Jewish newspaper, they tell you how terrible the Jewish situation is. Whenever I read the Nazi newspaper, they say over there, the Jews own everything, Jews control everything, Jews are in charge of everything. This old Jew is calling Kremlin. And he says, hello, my name is Chaim. Why are you calling us dirty Jew? He says, I heard that Jews sold Mother Russia. He says, is it true? He says, sure it's true. I'm calling to claim my share. So Jews, according to the anti-Semitic media, Jews are in charge of everything. Jews control everything. Anti-Semites feel that. I wish we would feel that. I wish we would walk around feeling that this world depends on me. This world right now, I am a partner in this world's creation. God created this world as a prefab, as a not finished product. And God gave me instructions how to do it. It's up to me whether I'm going to do my little part. Oh, but it's only one screw. Yeah, tell it to a builder that's building, it's only one thing. I'm not going to put this screw here. It's only one screw. Yeah. You know what's going to happen afterwards? So we, by the way, the Rebbe spoke about it. The Rebbe spoke when the TV just was becoming popular. The Rebbe said that we can learn a great lesson from TV. If there's one wire somewhere is missing, the whole connection is lost. But it's only one wire. There's thousands of wires there. One wire is missing. Big deal. 1 out of a million. The Rebbe says, no, one wire is missing, the whole connection is lost. So I could think, I'm only doing one little mitzvah. Hey, it's a little thing. Who cares? The lesson is, I wish we would look at ourselves the way anti-Semites look at ourselves. I wish we would walk around thinking, we control the world. And this world is waiting for me to do this mitzvah because the connection will not be there without this wire. So now, when we are realizing that we are partners with God, here is the question. And before this question, we have to make another l'chaim, and then we're going to ask the question. L'chaim, l'chaim. L'chaim.
Rabbi, don't you think it's a little heavy?
What?
It's a little heavy. Be a partner with God.
Oh, here you go. It's a little heavy. When you said it's a little heavy, I thought you were referring to bourbon over there. The bourbon is not heavy. Yeah. By the way, take the food.
Bourbon's fine.
Take the bourbon. Take the food. And I said thank you to Miss Belinsky when she was over there setting everything up. I'll say it again because she probably didn't hear me. Thank you for the food and for the arrangement. So now, this is the issue. When God created this world, He made us partners in creation. He made us partners. We are partners. Now, whether we will be partners or not is not our choice. We were made partners. You know, by the way, I know somebody whose father had a business, and when he passed away, he wrote in his will that he's leaving his business to his children, and they're all going to be, as he wrote in his will, equal partners in his business. And his children, how should we say it, were unequally business savvy, okay? And some of them were more prepared to be partners than others. And it was a little bit of an issue, or actually a lot of bit of an issue, because each one of them was a partner, whether they wanted it or not, whether they're capable of it or not. And I've got news for you. If you're a partner in a business, not only you are responsible for all the money coming in, you're also responsible for all the money coming out. If this business goes kaput, you're responsible for it equally as well. So, we were born being partners. We are partners. This is who we are. Now, our only decision is whether we will be good partners, strong partners, or, as Rebbe said, schwache partners, weak partners. What does it mean, weak partners? You know what? I'll tell you. The Rebbe told Max Katch, Menachem Mendel Katch, that he should buy a certain fur and he should hold on to it. Now, somebody else perhaps could have said, you know what? The Rebbe told me to buy it. I'm going to buy it. It loses its value on the market right now. I don't know. It's not my department. The Rebbe told me to do it. I do it. The Rebbe said it's going to be good. I don't know which way it will be good. I have no clue. There's no way to predict the outcome for me. But I could just trust what the Rebbe said. That's it. Somebody could have said it. And then somebody else could have said, like Max Katch did. He could have panicked. Now, somebody else, in the place of, by the way, I have to give Max Katch credit, somebody else could have just not listened to the Rebbe and sold it. That's right.
At least he didn't sell it.
That's right. At least he was a faithful partner. He was loyal. That's right. Somebody else could have sold it. That's right. So now, when I have a mitzvah to do, I have a mitzvah. And I know I could put on tefillin, or I could sleep for another 20 minutes without putting on tefillin. I am offered non-kosher food. I know God doesn't want me to eat it, but it's after sunset. It's dark over here. Maybe God doesn't see me. you know, and or you know, or you know, or you know, I know I'm not supposed to work on Shabbos, but yeah, you know what it's
Rabbi, we
what
will take your words literally.
yes, yes. Don't never take my words literally. Come on, you already know me well enough. You know, when you fly on an airplane, you know, airplanes offer kosher food. You don't really have to get it. You know why? The Torah itself says the Torah is not in the heavens. That's what it says in Torah. Lo b'shamayim hi. The Torah is not in the heavens. It's on earth. So when you are down here, when you're walking on earth, you have to get kosher food. When you are flying in a plane, lo b'shamayim hi. It's not in the heavens. Now, by the way, it's a joke. You know that, right? Okay, fine. Fine. I'm just making sure you all understand what I'm saying. Okay, but
Jump from the 50th floor.
yes.
You also can eat in.
Yeah. So never take whatever I'm telling you literally. So now this is the point that God chose us our partners. We are partners of God, whether we want it or not. We were born this way. We were born. We are these kids that have this will bequeathed to us once we were born. It's not our choice. We could be strong partners, or we could be weak partners. We could. And what was the determining factor whether Max Catch would be a strong partner or weak partner? The amount of how much he believed in what the Rebbe told him. The amount of times you bugged him. If I know I have a mitzvah that I need to do, that same thing that when God told Max Catch to buy more fur, it costs money. Mitzvahs cost money. You know that. You know they say before you become observant, you have to check your bank account if you can afford it. Okay, so mitzvahs cost money. Just like for Max Catch, to buy this fur costed money. So now, it costs money. You complain, God, it cost me a lot of money. What does God tell you? Buy, do another mitzvah. It's going to cost you as much more. Okay? Buy more of this fur. And we could complain. We could say, I don't like it. God, is one of the most anti-Semitic statements I heard in my life was the Fiddler on the Roof during a pogrom. In this movie, during pogrom, he looks straight at the camera and he says, God, I know that we are a chosen nation, but sometimes I think maybe you could choose another nation. So, God, you made us a partner. I'm sure Max Catch was thinking, looking in the mirror and thinking, Rabbi, maybe you could have chose somebody else as your partner. Why me? Why do I have to suffer? Why did he think that? Because he was a weak partner. Because he was a weak partner. Now, this is the point. The point is that we have a choice. We are partners with God. We were born to be partners with God. We need to make this world the way it was meant to be. These screws and wires and connections are dependent on us. And don't say that this one mitzvah, it's only one mitzvah, what is it worth? Ask a technician who is supposed to connect wires. We have, we are in this Chabad house right now. We're in the middle of switching from this light loiter system. Those of you that have been coming here know we have this house was built in 1988 and had the 1988 version of a smart home. It has this low voltage system. We had these 3 huge boxes in the basement, took up half of the basement, that were controlling all the lights and all the electric switches in the house. Any switch was not going directly between the source and the light. It was going back to the box and back here. It was supposed to be programmable. This thing is old. There was a transistor that went, and I couldn't find replacement. I found it somewhere on eBay, and I'm like, okay, when the next one it needs to be replaced, what I'm going to be doing then? So now we are in the middle of switching the whole system here. An electrician came here, told me it's going to be a one-day job. He's already here for 3 days, and he has to come for at least 2 more. We are. You could ask him. It's only one wire. What do you care? It's only one wire. Forget about it. There's thousands of these wires there. Don't worry about this one wire. I hope you won't think this way. What people say, it's only one mitzvah. Hey, it's one Shabbos. It's only one time I'll eat pork. Who cares? It's only one time I'm going to listen to a Torah class. I'm going to skip Torah class. This Rabbi Belinsky is boring anyway. I'm going to skip. I'm going to sleep. Don't worry. My sermons never interrupt people's sleep. They come here. They sleep just as well as they would be sleeping at home. I promise.
Earplugs provided.
No, with my voice is very. You don't need earplugs. My voice doesn't interfere with any sleeping. So now you will think, why in the world do I have to do these mitzvahs? God, I know you chose me as a partner. Maybe you could choose somebody else. I'm sick of being a partner. Well, you could think this way, but you know what? You're going to be a shvache shutaf. You're going to be a weak shutaf. So you know what? I want God not to think that I am a weak partner. I want God to invest with me. L'chaim, l'chaim. I want to now, yeah.
So now, 30, 50, 70 years later, we know about rabbis. Right? But maybe Max Schmack, or no, not Schmack, Scotch, maybe he didn't know about it. So, you know what I mean? Right now we have more knowledge about what happened in the past, and we can condemn him. But
I agree. I'm not in business of criticizing anyone.
Just because
So you can justify. Igor made a very important comment. Igor says, Max Catch back then, maybe he didn't understand who the Rebbe is. Maybe he didn't understand what the Rebbe's advice means. So maybe Max Catch could be excused for not listening to the Rebbe. It's true. Maybe he can. But Igor says nowadays we just know much more. That's why we cannot be excused. I agree. So we cannot be excused. Nowadays we cannot be excused for not listening to the Rebbe. That's exactly the point. Thank you. Now we cannot be excused for not listening to the Rebbe. That's exactly the point. And now I wanna show you a video of the Rebbe speaking. Whenever the Rebbe spoke, he spoke in Yiddish. You know that. All of his Farbrengens, with rare exceptions. There is, by the way, I have a whole collection in my house. I have a whole collection of the Rebbe speaking in Russian. There's number of occasions when the Rebbe spoke in English, a lot. But every regular Farbrengen was always in Yiddish. And this talk of the Rebbe, it is in Yiddish, but there are English subtitles. So I will encourage you to listen. And this is now. Do me a favor. Listen. Watch this Farbrengen. Now, it is. I think it's about like 6 minutes or 8 minutes recording. Okay. Listen to what the Rebbe is saying. The Rebbe's approach to life generally was that everything comes from the Torah, and everything comes from the Torah law. If there is a specific law in the Torah, it has application in practical life in every way possible, not only in the narrow application that is discussed right there. The Rebbe, I think I already mentioned to you many times, the Rebbe, you could listen to the Rebbe's Farbrengens and you'll be surprised. The Rebbe says, and in his casual conversation during Farbrengen, the Rebbe says, and the sun is rising in the east, as we know from the Torah, and the Rebbe quotes a verse from the Torah, it says sun is rising from the east. You listen to that 1 second. You don't need the quote from the Torah to know that the sun is rising from the east. You wake up in the morning, you take your compass, and you will know where the east is. Hey, sun is rising in the east. Why do you need to study Torah in Hebrew to know that? What's the answer? The answer is, if I see something, it doesn't mean necessarily it's true yet. It could be optical illusion. There are many optical illusions in the world. Maybe David Copperfield is making sun come the wrong way. The only way I know something is true is if it's written in the Torah. And the Rebbe quotes the source. Everything comes from the Torah. And the Rebbe here is explaining the meaning of God's partnership with us. And the Rebbe is using a very interesting Torah law. The Rebbe says, what if there is a person who is giving, let's say, I have eggs. I have eggs, not the eggs you buy in Giant here, fertilized eggs, real eggs. The eggs you buy from Asia, from his chickens in his backyard. Real eggs. And Brett has a hen. I have eggs. I don't have a hen. Brett has a hen, doesn't have eggs. So I come to Brett and I'm telling him, can you please have your hen sit on my eggs that chickens should hatch and you, okay. So that the Talmud is discussing, 1 second, okay, that's great. We made a partnership. The question is, okay, chickens hatched. Who do they belong to? Do they belong to me or do they belong to Brett? It's a real business question. Who is responsible for feeding this hen while it's sitting on the eggs, right? So many business questions, and Talmud is discussing it. So there are laws of partnership that are discussed in Talmud in this example, and the Rebbe takes this as an example, and the Rebbe is explaining that we are partners with God because we are like the guy who has a hen who sits on the eggs that God provided for us. God made the half-made world, unfinished world, and He gave us to sit on it, literally, and make these chickens hatch. So now these chicks hatch. So the question is, who's responsible for that, for what, and what is the outcome? So this is the talk of the Rebbe. Please listen to it. Well, it's in Yiddish. You'll have to read the English subtitles. And then once the Rebbe is going to be done talking, we're going to see a lot of very interesting lessons that we learn from what the Rebbe said.
Apiteres abal shemte benagele chol inyanim shebeila. Is a jeder Sach do a hero in anini vreise le shamish skeni. I vodo so ze chizruk in dem le shamish skeni. Alachas kame ve kame a yinische beteile. Wo de erste Aloche, was heeft dort noch. Hab ich dort zwei Menschen. Was einer hat a Tarnegelis und der zweite hat Bein. Und genommen die Bein und hat so gegeben, den Ball hat Tarnegelis gedei. A die Tarnegelis soll sie warmen, bis wann nicht von der Bein wird werden, frechen und hinner, und sie werden damit vernanderte und zwischen sich dem Rewer. Weil der sehr, wie das ist in der Min von Beheme ist, als nimmt eine kleine Beheme und geht das sich top zu der Reihe, als soll mit ihr sich abgeben und passen ihr, bis wann sie Test wachsen und werden eine große Beheme, weil sie voneinander teilen dem Rewer. wo das ist ein Dover Apostel, also nas kein macht mit dem Geschäft, die Schutwis. Der Haloch ist aber mäßig bei sie, a der, was gibt ihm die Beim, oder die Sajochen, die kleine Behemes, darf ihm geben, mit seine Uschara Mole. Was da hat man gleich den Limud den Avedes Oda, wie der Mond früher von Eitz Chai, was fragt gleich bis Chilosse, was ist der Tachlis von Bries Kol Heilmis. Und es mit Weiber sehr, wie gebawusst eichen, weil die, was lernen nicht in Kabbalah, aber das auch gebracht in Chassidus, und bekamen mit Chemis in Samachwov und Kajitzi Baseh, also sehr wie Friede gewähnt, die Kirches von den Meibischen, wie Schleimusso, worum dort seine sie in der Leben, was sie nicht aus der P. Hat der Eibischter gewollt, als sie sollen nicht Gadel werden und sollen nicht Galle werden, bis wann nicht, als sie werden, sollen stehen, begolui, a viele Beilen, als tachten in Nelem Abschad, in Nelem Asir. Und der Pfarrer gewähnt, der Seder a Gestaltschelus, die sollen nicht Galle werden, in Nelem Asir, die Jechele Shalamailo und die Keche Shalamailo und der Kohle in Yonim Shalamailo, und das gewähnt der Tachlis Beri Israel. Wo spiegelt sich das ab, wenn eine Gehle Haloche bepeil, aber schaße da Odem Hoeli. Und hat Ayini, wo das war Jochel in der Nähe von Bey. Dort da bei Cheles an der Freya, und der Freya, der noch wachsen und wird werden, hat Arnegeles. Was meilit beim, wo die Beim war ein weiter meilit beim, hat safe Koladeris, weil der sehr, dass sie da Kirches, wie sie seine Bereshissam, und dann noch darf man hoffen, als es von sie soll nicht Galle werden, und soll werden, an Nela Molle in Biesen, Nela Massi, was konnte das mit Maschi sein bei Jodai. Hat der Eibischter gewollt und hat tiefer gegeben das. Aber das soll dann das Schüttif sein. Und geht es so ein paar Jeden, was geht ihm an Rehe, wenn geht zu den Joni verbunden mit Balachayim, mit Chayus, Elam Achayim, und geht es Sibir zu Asamin, was hat das Scheiches, Balat Arnegelis, hat in sich eine Warmkeit. Und das Maschpiel von der Warmkeit, in dem Mischorsim Schelei, in Kirch am Meise Schelei, והלבושים שלי, כך המדיבו שלי, כך המחשבה שלי, אז sie sollen umwarmen, dem Dover, was steht bei Helen und Hester, in dem Melon, bis wann es jetzt werden an der Freach, und der Freach wird werden an Tarnegel und an Tarnegeles, was werden angerufen, beschem Gewe, und was weg zu verjiden, wie die Gemorde erzählt in Chesem von Messichte Broches, als Jid soll Lust in Gleibach Azeis Alayla, o Jira HaShochar, lave du Lishores Eskene, Azeis Layla, okum Leidesloch, al Mishbete Zitkecho, a Jid mit Teile zusammen. Und da pasken top Teile, als nicht maßpik das, abishah der Jid Maschlim sein Avidose. Und sie wird werden der Freich und der Tarnegel mit der Tarnegelis oder die Behemoh Gdele, weil ich Aperis Vechulu, wird damals als verstandig Atzme, als darf haben Achelik, wie Aschutiv, in der Woche, was zugetan. Man sagt schön aber gleich, als hat angeheben hat die Arbeit, bekommen hat die Schutfes und die Schlichus, von dem Ebersten, von dem Baal Habeim Quajochel und Baal Asejochen Quajochel, gleich darf ihm zustellen. Wir sehen, und das ist noch aber nicht maßlich. Wir sehen, kommen noch sagen, darf haben. Als jener soll haben, keich auf zu arbeiten, das hat alles für ein Mädchen. Sagt man, wir sehen alleine nicht maßlich, darf ihm geben, wir sehen, und darf ihm geben, Scharamole. Sie nicht stammen, hat der Pfarrer Schar Yossi Blove. Wo dämmelt in Teilen der Woche, nur bei Scholes war Weide, bei Scholes war Schutzes. Und was Chodes Aschlichus, gießen ihm der Rebischter noch von früher noch. Amos, Chara, Moli und Mesenei, Gedeier soll ihm können dienen, mit der Chnuche, Simcha, Vetuv, Levo, was soll sein Avat, das Aweile Kecha, Besimcha, Vetuv, Levo, on keine Bilbulim, bis bepashtus Mamash.
L'chaim. L'chaim.
We're waiting for it for 7 minutes.
L'chaim. So what do we see? Thank you. I always knew I looked like one. I probably sound like one too, right? That's why, I guess that's why people that's why people don't believe me that my sermons never interfere with their sleep. I sound like a rooster. I wake them up. Okay. So everything in Judaism comes from the Torah. Everything in this world comes from the Torah. And we know that the laws of the Torah created by God, and He Himself follows the laws of the Torah as well. So these are the laws of partners. The Torah has Hilchot Shutafim, laws of partners.
So why we should work hard?
I'll
Where
tell
are
you
the
in a minute.
shepherds? Where
One.
Very
Very good question. We are getting there. We are getting there.
He should give us food.
Very good question. So this is the answer. This is the answer. This is the answer. The law is, this is a law. This is a law. If I have eggs that need to be hatched, but I don't have a hen, and Brett or Alan, Brett had a hen. Okay, Alan, you don't have a hen. Alan only has cows and cows and sheep, but Brett has a hen. And I come with my eggs to Brett, and I'm telling Brett, let's be partners. Your hen is going to sit on my eggs, and we'll hatch those eggs. So, as the Rebbe said, it's an interesting point. The point is that once my eggs hatch, it's not only my eggs hatch. These eggs are going to become chickens. They're going to have their own eggs. And they're going to have chickens that are going to become eggs as well, and they're going to become chickens again, and they're going to be... This is the continuation for forever, as long as the world exists.
But he didn't go that far.
So now, the Rebbe says few very important laws. That first of all, we understand that the mitzvahs we do in partnership with God is not only what we do, it is something that allows continuation of mitzvahs for forever. Why? Because if I keep mitzvahs, my children, next generation, my students, people who see me, my neighbors who are going to be influenced by me, my students, whoever else I come in contact with, because of that, we'll be able to do mitzvahs. And this is how the Torah is continuing to live for forever. So the example of chicken and eggs is taken in this specific set of laws for a purpose. By the way, there's a everlasting question: what came first, chicken or an egg? I did not know the answer, so I ordered them on Amazon. I'll tell you which one comes first. So now we have a situation where chicken is producing eggs, and those eggs become chickens, and they become eggs again, and it's going to last forever. That's mitzvah. Torah is everlasting. The Jewish nation is everlasting. You probably heard it. me saying it many times. I said it in my video blog. I said it many times in my speeches. Many people are concerned about the future of the Jewish nation. I always tell them, you don't need to worry about the future of the Jewish nation. God promises the Jewish nation is going to be everlasting. Don't worry about the Jewish nation. The only thing you need to worry about is whether you're going to be part of this everlasting Jewish nation, whether your children are going to be part of this everlasting Jewish nation. That's one part that you need to be worried about. The Jews are going to be okay. Don't worry about the Jews. I need to worry about myself, where I'm going to be part of them. So this is a chicken and an egg, and a chicken and an egg that last forever, and this is what the Torah is. And now Alan already wants to make a l'chaim Alan, and then we're going to continue talking. And then here comes the most important part. Do you know what the law is? That if I bred my chickens, if I brought my chickens to Brett, and Brett has a hen that's sitting on his chickens, then I need to provide the food for Brett's chickens. Not only do I have to provide food for Brett's chickens, I also have to provide the money to Brett for having his hen work for my chickens. Ooh, says the Rabbi. Do you know what it means? When we are sitting on God's eggs, and the Rebbe was specifically saying, do you know what makes eggs hatch? What makes it effective when a hen is sitting on eggs? The fact that the egg is warm, the warmth. The Rebbe says the warmth of our mitzvahs. When we do mitzvahs, when we perform them with love, with warmth, the warmth of our actions, the love that we exude when we do mitzvahs. This is what makes us eggs hatch and makes them into living beings, chickens. So the Rabbi says, if we are sitting on God's eggs and we are making them hatch, do you know what happens? God has to provide our food. God has to pay us everything we need for our sustenance while we are doing His work.
I'll get some chicken eggs tonight.
So when I come to God, what do I tell Him? I'm telling Him, God, I am sitting on your eggs. I am doing your work. According to your own law, you have to provide my sustenance. If I don't do that, if I'm not a partner with God, if I don't look at myself as a partner with God, I cannot make this claim. If I wake up in the morning and I say, God, I know you chose a Jewish nation, but can you please choose a different nation for at least a little bit, like Fiddler on the Roof did, like Tevye did, then what I'm going to come to God and say, God, I hate doing your job, but still pay me. God's going to say, you know what, you hate doing my job, I hate paying you. If, God forbid, God should never tell anything like this to any one of us. But the point is that if we are doing God's job, if we are the hen that's sitting on His eggs, we have to tell God, listen, we are doing your work. We are making your eggs turn into chickens. And you have to, according to your own law, you have to feed us, and you have to pay us for our work. So first of all, God has to give us. What does it mean feed? Feed means what we need immediately, right now. Right now, I'm hungry. I'm going to eat this slice of cucumber. It's going to make me not hungry anymore. I wish. But feed me. Feed means sustain me for now. On top of it, God has to pay for our work. That's already on top of it. That's already more than just the basic sustenance. We come to God, we're asking God, please give all this to us. You have to do it according to your own law. And this is what enables us to ask God exactly that. So now I'm going to make a l'chaim, and I'm going to conclude the main message of tonight. L'chaim. Don't worry, my conclusion is going to be pretty lengthy. If you thought you're going home pretty soon, you're mistaken.
Will there be a Q&A section as well?
Yes. But this is the point. Sometimes, if I look at myself, I'm always asking the most important question that the humans have. Do you know what is the biggest question that kids ask? I have kids. Right now already, I thank God have grandkids, as you know. And what is the biggest question that a little kid, a toddler, wants to know the answer to? The biggest question for everybody is, who am I? What am I? You could tell me about you. You can tell me the most interesting stories about somebody else. You could tell me the most exciting stories about different people in different countries. It's all cool and it's exciting. I'll like it for the next 5 minutes, and I will be mesmerized by your story while you are telling it to me. But at the end, what I want to know, I don't want to know about you. I'm sorry. I don't want to know about whoever you're telling me about. I want to know about myself. Who am I? I want to know who am I. What am I? That's why if, unfortunately, somebody tells his child that they are not a good child, they are bad, he's a bad boy, she's a bad girl, that's what she'll learn. She's a bad person. She's bad. If you will tell somebody, you are not talented, you're not capable, they're going to learn knowing that they're not talented, they're not capable. Every child wants to know who they are, and I've got news for you. Every adult wants to know who they are also. Unfortunately, today, in a secular society that we all grew up with, unfortunately, secular society does not provide answer to the question who you are. Secular society says you are an accidental mistake, which is a result of some pool of genes and biological soup. Okay, you came here by mistake, and nobody knows why you are here. That's what science tells you. So the children are never getting an answer to this question, who they are. What is easier? We were talking about chickens. I wanted to bring you an example. I almost started speaking about bees. I almost started talking about bees, but you were not here, so I'm like, okay, our whole evening is about chickens. But I was too chicken to talk about you.
I told you the story. I got the little chicks from eggs. I put 6 eggs and got 4 chicks.
There you go. So, if anybody wants chicks, speak to Isha. If anybody wants bees or honey, speak to Isha also. Isha, goats and cows also or no? Not yet. Not yet. Here you go. Okay. So now, this is the point. We all want to know, who are we? I want to know, who am I? Who am I? What am I doing here? Your child asks me, what am I doing here? So many times, parents come to me and ask me, my child asked me this and this question. What should I tell them? I always answer these parents, and they get annoyed. I always tell them, you know what? Forget about your child. How would you answer this question for yourself? Tell me how you answer for yourself. I'll help you to translate it to your child's language, to an appropriate way of expressing it to your child. But tell me, how do you answer this question to yourself? And they sit there scratching their head and like, I don't know how to answer it to myself. I'm like, so that's the problem. Your child is not a problem. The problem is you don't know how to answer this question to yourself. Your child is just the catalyst that brings it to the forth. So a child is asking, who am I? And we very often don't know how to answer it to them. Why? Because we don't know it for ourselves. I'm looking at myself in the mirror when I wake up. Who am I? The Rebbe tells me, do you know who am I? I'm a partner with God. God created this world incomplete. When God created this world, it was Duncan Hines powder. It's true, 90% of work was done in 90% of work was done in Duncan Hines factory. Ilya, it was for you. But the 10% is left. I need to add water and eggs. I don't know why we're talking about eggs all the time today. Needs a little oil. I need to put it in the oven. So this little, you gotta mix it. So this little needs to be done by me. So who am I? I'm a partner with God. What am I doing all day? I'm doing the work that this partnership requires. Now, I got news for you. Whether I am partner of God or not is not dependent on me. I was born this way. I'm the father who received this in my in the inheritance. You know, and not everybody is happy with the inheritance they get from their parents. I've seen many times when people were very unhappy with the inheritance they received. I am a partner with God. Now, I can be a schwache shutuf, I can be a weak partner, or I can be a strong partner. I can come to God and say, God, you know what? I want you to help me. Why? Because I'm your partner, because I'm doing your job. Why? Because according to your own law, I have to get this and this. That's what you wrote in your Torah. Please do it. That's my claim. And if I'm making this claim, it's a pretty strong claim. So I want you all to be able to have this claim. And I want you to all understand this. This was the Rebbe's message. We are all God's partners. And this is what God placed us in this world for. God does not do anything for no reason. I have here, right behind this wall is my office. And I sit in my office and I have this notepad in front of me. And I spend a lot of my day on the phone. And when I talk to people on the phone, I have this notepad in front of me and I have a pen in my hands. It's very useful to jot down the notes. If I talk to somebody tells me name, number, something, date, whatever it is, I jot it down. But other times this notepad is there and this pen is there and they're useless. And now what do? I doodle. I doodle on my notepad. It's probably the most beautiful art. You could sell it on eBay for millions of dollars. If you'll find a way of making money of it, let me know. I'll become your partner. We're speaking about partners here. I haven't found anybody who wants to buy it yet, so it's just sitting in my office. But I do things. You'll come to me, you'll ask me, Rabbi Belinsky, you're such a smart person. You teach us here. We come to listen to your classes. And I'm looking at you doodle. Why did you doodle this? Why did you draw this? Do you know what I'm going to say? I have no clue. I don't know why I doodled this. I don't know why I did it. I wasn't even thinking about it. I was just making some lines and circles while I was talking to somebody else on the phone. I wasn't even thinking about what my hand was doing. So I do that because I am Rabbi Belinsky. God does not do that. God does nothing for no reason. Whatever God does has a reason for it. If God made you, God made all of you for a reason. Because God is not Rabbi Belinsky. And I've got news for you. Rabbi Belinsky is not God either. So God made you for a reason. And God made you for a reason because he wants you to be his partner. And now, the only, whether you will be his partner or not, is not up to you. You are his partner. The question is, what are you going to do with this partnership? Whether A, you'll be a strong partner or a weak partner, and B, whether you'll be able to come to him afterwards and say, God, I did my role in this partnership, now you do your role. And I hope you'll all come to God saying, God, I did my role, now you do your role. We all should say that. And l'chaim for all of us. We should all say that to God. L'chaim.